Hey guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're doing my 2021 reading year in review. First, a very quick disclaimer. 1. I've been gone for almost the entire month of December. I'm very sorry. I always warn you guys that December is such a busy month for me with Christmas and Jeff's birthday. We did a quick little Disney getaway the first week of December. I have extra things happening with work. I like to craft and bake and do things for everyone. I kind of turn into Mrs. Claus and I like bake cookies and bread and make presents and all these things. And I just kept putting off the videos I wanted to make for December, partially because I didn't plan good enough. There were some movies I needed to watch and some books I needed to read before I could film the videos I was wanting to do, and I just didn't get it done. So next year I'm going to be starting way earlier, like maybe even in October, getting prepped for Christmas videos because I love this time of year and I would love to put out more content. So sorry about that. I also got a small cold around Christmas Eve, and so these end of the year videos are very behind. I normally do like, I don't know, like 6 videos this week of Christmas. So we're going to be combining a couple of videos. I'm also going to be posting several today and tomorrow, and then also the first week of January because I'll have New Year's videos coming out. It's a very video heavy week. So you're going to be getting a lot of content all at once. Sorry about that. It's just how it rolls, but I definitely want to get the videos that I want out. Anyway, this video is going to be all about 2021. I'm going to be doing a reading survey that I like to do every year. I kind of pick and choose the questions that I want to answer. I do some Goodreads stats, and then I do some of my own compiling and all that jazz. So first up, let's talk about the year as a whole. I had a really great year in 2021 overall. However, this is my worst reading year since I started BookTube and the year before BookTube. I think the year I started on YouTube doing book videos was the year that I read over 100 books for the first time, maybe ever. So it's been like 4 or 5 years. And I read 101 books, and I think that first year I read 117 and then 140 and then 109 last year. So it's not about the number. Any amount of books that you read is great, but I always like to have that number in there just for fun and to kind of hit a goal in your mind. Most of the books were audiobooks, which is something I really want to work on next year. I have no problem consuming books that way, especially because there's just so many stories out there. However, I feel like I relax a little bit more when I'm physically reading, so I want to take some time out of every day or so to really just physically read and kind of like force myself to calm down without screens or audio, and just to consume some books that I can't get the audio for or I don't like the narrator for. But we'll talk about that more in the goals video. So I still had a decent reading year, but besides being the lowest amount of books that I've read, I also feel like I had one of the worst reading years. Not to be like super negative. I just felt like I wasn't picking the right books. I was reading a lot of things to catch up on series and reading kind of obscure things, which I love to do and I will continue to do in the next year. But I really, really want to read some more hyped books and recommended books and things that I'm going to really fall in love with, so that I can have a little bit more exciting things to talk about. I feel like I really enjoyed some of the books that I read, but not as much as I have in previous years. So that's just a little disclaimer about the whole year. So for now, we're gonna get started on the whole stat thing. So, like I said, I read 101 books this year. So I listened to a total of 91 audiobooks. The most I've ever listened to, but not by a lot, but I only physically read 11 books. So low. I know some people don't even read like 1 book a year, so you know, but I really didn't just like sit down and open up a book this year. So I read a total of 35,652 pages. Obviously I didn't read that much because 90% of them were audiobooks, but I don't really have a way of gauging like my listening hours without like handwriting it down. I might do that next year. I'm not sure if I'm going to be organized enough, but that's my total count for this year. Last year I think was around 37,000, so it wasn't crazily far off, but still not the best. The shortest book I read was The October Faction. This was the only graphic novel that I read this year. Randomly picked it up around Halloween. The longest book that I read, which Goodreads just picks up everything that I mark down, I wish they had a separate audiobook section, was Strange the Dreamer at 544 pages. I did do this one on audio though. I don't think I read any big books physically this year. My average book was around 350 pages, which is about right because that's what most like young adult books are, and that's mostly what I read. The most popular book that I read this year was Circe by Madeline Miller. This one has over 1 million, I think it's over 1 million people have shelved the book, meaning that they want to read it or are interested in it. I really enjoyed this one too, so that was great. And then my least popular book was The Aeon Chronicles by April M. Woodard. This is a self-published book written by a friend of a friend, so it has about 230 people shelved it, but it was pretty good, so I definitely check it out. My average rating was about 3.5, which I think is pretty normal. I haven't looked back at the other years yet, but I think that's about right, because usually the 4s and the 2s and everything kind of even themselves out. Highest rated book I've read, this is based off Goodreads, was Hitched, book 4. This is a weird little book series. Now, take this with a grain of salt. There are not that many people that have read this book, but the people that did read it gave it high ratings, so it winds up being higher, you know. Like I said, everything kind of averages itself out. I didn't particularly like this one, so I wouldn't recommend it. The ending was my least favorite of the whole series, but it wound up being my highest rated just because of the amount of popularity it has. Okay, now for the stars. So I read 0 1-star books, which is pretty normal for me. There's only 2 ways that I will rate a book 1 star. And one won't even happen, because if I'm reading it and I'm hating it so much that I feel like it's going to be a 1 star, then I'm not going to finish it. So I'm going to DNF it and I'm not going to rate it. I do not rate books that I DNF. I feel like that's wrong because a lot of things can happen and change, and I just don't want to insert my opinion too much in that way. I'll come and talk about it on here, but I don't like to rate books that I have DNF'd. I don't do a lot of 1-star ratings for that reason. And then 2, it takes like a dramatic turn at the end to something I really don't like that ruins the whole book, which almost never happens. So I had no 1-star ratings this year. I had 6 2-star ratings this year, which was probably my highest, I think, since I've started reading a ton again. I was just picking kind of random weird things, and they weren't really vibing with me. I had a total of 39 3-star books and a total of 48 4-star books. I'm kind of like loose with my ratings. I am very particular with my 5 stars, which you'll see in a second. So a lot of books fall in this 3 and 4 category. This is, I think, pretty average for me. And then I gave 8 books 5 stars. And the really sad thing about this is the lowest number of 5 stars I've had in like a long time. It's even lower than this because I think like 5 of these books that I gave 5 stars to were rereads. I did not a ton of rereading. I probably read like 7, 8 books this year, mostly so I could like continue on with the series. Like King of Elfhame and Winter Song I actually read twice, and various things. So I actually only had like 3 5-star books, which I'll talk more about in my top books of the year, which should be out either today or tomorrow. So that was kind of sad as well. Like I just didn't read anything that really just grabbed a hold of my soul. So I really want to change that next year. I only read 3 new releases this year. Again, the lowest I've done in so long, and most of them were towards the end. So I read Mermaid of Venice, which was sent to me by the author. It was like a mermaid serial killer book, which was pretty cool. I read Holiday Swap recently for Christmas time. And then I read Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer, who is my favorite. I love her so much. I didn't love this book that much. Like it was decent, but not as much as I wanted, but I did get to it. So my most read author, I didn't really read a particular author that much. I think I have several that I read like the full trilogy or 3 books, but I don't think I read any more than 3 of one author. Again, I want to change that next year because I really like kind of binge reading different authors. But we'll just put Laura Sebastian for this one because I finished her Ash Princess trilogy. And then my best reading month was April, where I read a total of 15 books. I wound up randomly coming up with like this galaxy themed readathon, which we'll be doing next year. And I plowed through some galaxy space books. I had a blast, and I read 15 books total. I think 2 were physical and then the rest were all on audiobook. And I usually have October as my best reading month, but this year it was April, which was kind of cool. It was my birthday month. Then I did 6 readathons this year, and I have a big announcement coming out for all the readathons that I'll be hosting next year and all the info for them. I really kind of hit my stride with doing my own readathons this year. Though in January I did Angelathon, which was like a combo readathon with some of my friends. And then I randomly came up with Galaxy-a-thon, kind of last minute, kind of more for myself and my friend Brittany. And then we did Hike-a-thon for the 3rd year, I think, and Mermaid Marathon for the 4th year. And then we did Not So Scary-a-thon, which was my readathon, I think, for the first or second year. And then we did Jingle Bellathon for the first year. So I'll have an announcement about all my upcoming readathons coming out here pretty soon. But I had a blast at all of them. And make sure you're following me on Instagram as well, because I do a lot of things for the readathons on Instagram, giveaways and stuff like that. Okay, so then I read 1 new adult book this year, 7 middle grade books, 15 adult books, and 79 YA books. Which again, that's a pretty normal thing for me. I didn't finish any nonfiction this year, which was something I really wanted to do, so we're gonna work on that next year. Okay, now we're gonna do a reading survey that I like to do every year. This one's by Perpetual Page Turner. She hasn't updated it for this year. We'll just link the 2020 version down below. This is really fun to do, like even if you don't film videos, just kind of write it down in a notebook and kind of keep an eye on it. I'm gonna kind of skip around for certain questions to kind of make this video not too long. The best book you read in 2020. You guys, the only book that really sticks out to me is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. I read this one twice this year, which I never do. It was so lyrically written and really beautiful, and it just really stuck with me. I didn't love the second one very much, but this was one of the first books I read in the year, and I thought it was kind of pushing me into a great start. Not so much, but I really thought about this book a lot. It was really romantic and whimsical. Goblin King, fae, underworld, kind of labyrinth vibe to it. Just go check it out. It's really great. Book you were excited about and thought you were going to like more but didn't. Strange the Dreamer. My friend Brittany and I decided to read something really popular in the beginning of the year, and we picked Strange the Dreamer because we've been meaning to get to it for forever, and it just didn't do anything for me. I love Laini Taylor's other books, so I was really excited about it, and it was really lyrical, and I could tell why other people really loved it. And I did the audio, and the narrator wasn't bad, but I have other friends that physically read it, and they kind of felt the same. Strange, because Winter Song was also very lyrical and kind of longer, and this one just, like, I could see the beauty and the art in it. It just didn't do anything for me, and I was dreading reading the second one, so I wound up unhauling them. Book you pushed the most people to read in 2021, and they did. You guys, Amid the Stars and Darkness. Now, this is a ridiculous book. I have talked about it several times on my channel. I physically read it because I found it at like Dollar Tree one day, and we were doing Galaxy-a-thon, and I was like, I'm gonna read this one. It's about an alien princess that swaps places with a human girl, and chaos ensues, and there's romance and aliens and spaceships, and it's over the top, and it was just so much fun. I'm still thinking about it. I cannot wait to read the second book, and I just ordered the third book on Thrift Books because they're a little bit rare. I want to read more from this author because it was just such a fun read, and I pushed it and I sent it to people, and I know like at least a few of you have read it so far, so I'm excited about that. Best series you started in 2021. Honestly, I tried not to start very many series because I was trying to finish them. That was kind of the big goal of 2021, and it's going to continue into 2020. I'm not really sure if I have an answer for this one. Nothing really like overly sticks out to me because I didn't start a lot of them. The best sequel that I read would probably be the entire like Bone Witch series. We could kind of count that one for the last one as well. This one was just really detailed and fantastic. It's about a young bone witch that learns bone magic, and she goes to like training, and it's kind of similar to like geisha training where she learns to like dance and perform and do magic, and there's all of this like dark magic and all this world building. It was so thoroughly done. It definitely has a slower vibe to it. The narrator for these audiobooks is so good. It was probably one of my favorite things I read this year, the whole series. So the sequels were really good. The ending was perfection. Favorite new author you discovered in 2021? I did read some new authors, but again, nothing is like overly sticking out to me, like nothing I ran to find like all the rest of their books yet. So hopefully we can change that next year. Best book from a genre you don't typically read was out of your comfort zone. I don't think I read very much out of my comfort zone this year. I just didn't. I kind of was finishing series and things like that, like I said. So sadly, I don't have an answer for this one as well. Favorite cover of a book you read in 2021? Whew, there were so many good covers. I'm just gonna put a few up here because there were quite a few that I really liked. Nothing, again, that overly stood out to me, but we had some really great covers come in. Most memorable character. I really loved Theo from Ash Princess. Was such a fabulous main character. She was like strong and feisty and headstrong and funny and loyal, and I really enjoyed reading about her as the main character. I love that series. Most beautifully written book in 2021. 2, Winter Song was beautifully written. However, Strange Sweet Song by Addie Rue that I picked up last minute or Not So Scary-a-thon was so beautifully written, and it was just lyrical, and it had fables in it, and it was so wonderful. It was about a girl whose mother was a famous opera singer, and she is going to school to do opera as well, and there's this whole mystery revolving around the woods near the school where there's like this ancient magical cat and no one knows if it's true, and there's all these mysterious things happening, and then she's also kind of growing up and learning to be her own person. It was so beautiful. It was romantic. It was smart. I loved it. Most thought-provoking, life-changing book of 2021. I really don't think I read anything this year that like really did that to me like it has in past years where I've read like Scythe and things like that. I don't think there's anything that I've kind of contemplated or whatever. So unfortunately I'm not answering a lot of these questions very well, so we're going to work on this for next year. Book you can't believe you waited till 2021 to read. I say this every year. Any of them, because I am so behind. Like I said, I've only read 2 new releases this year, and I have over 400 unread books, so anything that I read and love, then I'm not surprised, really, because I'm just behind on everything. Favorite romantic pairing? Probably main characters in Winter Song, the Goblin King, and the other lead character, I cannot remember her name. I've read it twice this year. That's terrible. I really loved them. Oh, and also our main characters in The Bone Witch. I don't want to give it away because you're not entirely sure what's happening, but there's a romance in there that's also 2 characters in Ash Princess. I'm not going to say who they are because it kind of gives things away, but the romance, so good. Most unique book that you read? Probably Strange Sweet Song. It was just, there were so many different elements about it. We had the romance and friendship and school setting and music and like magic and all kinds of things. There was a lot happening, and it was really awesome. Okay, I think we're going to stop there because I feel like this video is like longer than normal, and I've got a lot of other videos to film. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit me up with any answers to any of these questions down below in the comments. Let me know some of your favorite books that you've read this year, books that you recommend to me for next year, things to kind of get my 5-star ratings up because I really want to have an amazing reading year. The last like amazing reading year I had was in 2018, and we can't really always control the years that we have, but I know some things I can do to kind of amp that up. So I'm excited for next year. And stay tuned for a lot of videos coming your way soon. I'm going to be trying really hard to get them out because there's a lot of cool content and things I want to share with you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Bright Side. Bye!